Okay, the wheels, tires, and wheel wells have been scrubbed and cleaned. That's all done. The car has received its first rinse. I'm going to show you two areas that are most frequently missed by everybody. One is the underneath the gas fill door. Can't really see it because it's wet, but it's pretty dirty. The other area is the hatchback. Whenever it rains, all the water runs back the roof and into the little channel between the hatch and the roof and collects there. Once again, on this car, for some reason, it wasn't really that bad. So I've got my brushes. The bucket's been cleaned and scrubbed. These are the 1-inch brush and the 4-inch paintbrush. I've got my spray bottle here of car wash soap. Less than half an ounce to 31 or so ounces of water, because like I said in the one video, this soap dilutes 400 to 1. You can make 400 gallons of car wash soap with 1 gallon of this car wash. So don't be afraid to use a lot. Spray everything liberally. Car wash soap will not hurt anything. I'm not worried about it drying on the outside of the car because I still have to wash the car once I'm done with all this. For that area, since it's tight, 1-inch brush. And just gently go around and scrub everything. You leave the bristles on these brushes long so they can get up behind where normally you couldn't reach even with a finger. And the wash mitt definitely won't reach. Since this has a normal gas cap and not one of those fill-through caps like on the modern Fords, I have no issues with spraying this directly with the hose to rinse out the soap, dirt, and everything else. Make sure you get the door, that little area behind it where they didn't even paint. Use the brush to get down in between everything. And that, you're done scrubbing under the gas door. And that's basically what you're doing when you go around the whole car. Down here, part of this ledge is covered by the hatch. So it'll also be cleaned while the hatch is open. Again, starting at the top, liberally spray the car wash soap. You want as much in there as possible. It soaks into the dirt and lubricates it, eliminating or at least severely reducing the chances of swirls. As soon as I get the top part scrubbed down, I'll go ahead and shut the video down, finish up the job, and show you the actual car wash itself. But I'm only probably going to show you 1 or 2 panels at the most, because sometimes watching this stuff can be boring. So basically that's it right here. Take the brush, and you can see why the wash mitt won't fit. It's just too big. There's a little valley right here, just inside the weather stripping, that tends to collect a lot. So I'm going to shut you off here, finish up, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, every detailed area, gas cap, door jambs, trunk hatch, all the little creases around the windows, headlights, taillights have all been washed, rinsed, and they are done until the waxing part. You can see the ladders out, which means it's time to wash the car, and always start with the top. And one thing I've got to do before I start washing, the wash bucket's ready, the wash mitt's ready, the solution's ready, but the car is dry. It's had time to dry out while I did the sides. Never touch a dry car. Even if it's a wash mitt full of water and soap, make sure the car is wet first. That greatly reduces the chances of scratches and swirls. Drying the car is another matter. I'll get to it when I do a car I can use my drying towel on. Waxing and removing wax is different because there's lubrication involved. I'll get back to you when it's time to start buffing. There is one thing I wanted to show you before we got to the buffing stage. It's about washing. Washing seems like it might be a no-brainer, but what you don't want to do is put a lot of pressure down on your mitt or your wash pad. That kind of defeats the purpose. It'll mat up all those little microfiber fingers, make a clump, and then any dirt that's on the car will be able to scrub into the paint and make marks instead of moving its way deeper into the mitt. So what you do is you take your mitt, you can see how full of soap and water that is, and just glide it around. Use the weight of the mitt alone. No pressure, just the weight of the mitt, straight back and forth for top surfaces like this. I got to be careful with that bug deflector because since the last time I worked on it, somebody cracked it. So I got to be real careful, especially when I pull the buffer out. So just use the weight of the mitt on horizontal surfaces like this, and on vertical surfaces like the fender, the quarter panel, just enough pressure to keep the mitt from falling down and onto the ground. If it falls down and onto the ground, you're going to have to wash it out before you can touch the car again. Speaking of which, this car isn't very dirty, but if your car was very dirty, by the time you did half the hood and this one fender, if that much, it's a very good idea to rinse your mitt out to clear it out of all the dirt and debris. There's two ways of doing this. One is you get a second bucket filled with plain water. When you're done making your pass, dunk your mitt into that clear water, swish it around, it'll loosen the dirt and fall to the bottom. Wring it out, put it back in your soap bucket, and keep going. Personally, I would rather just use the hose and hose it out. I think the forced pressure works better than just kind of swishing it around in a bucket. Plus, once the dirt is gone, it's gone. It's not floating around in that rinse water. I can't do it right now because I would need a third hand to hold the hose and blast the wash pad, but I think you get the idea. And I will be back after the wash when it's time to buff. Okay, the car's in the man cave now. Everything is done. The only thing left to do before I actually pull out the buffer and start polishing is to break out the old air compressor here. It's all charged up and ready to go. And blow the water out of a lot of seams and hidden areas so it doesn't run out on me while I'm buffing. I'm going to bring you up here to the hood. And in this light, I don't know how well you can see it, but you can tell that there is just a little bit of fade to the paint. Partially because it's over 13 years old. Partially because it never gets waxed except once a year by me. There is a spot on the rear end that I would like to show you that's a Ford flaw. They seem not to have put enough paint on their hatchbacks. Can't really see it up here because it's not in the sunlight, but this entire lip, all the way across, is fading and turning white. That's a sign of not enough clear coat or not enough color coat under the clear and not enough clear coat to protect what is there. Also down here, along this edge, here you can see it, the paint is going away very, very quickly. And that little curve there on top of the Ford emblem is the same thing. That's simply age and not enough paint put on when it was originally painted. But it's only on the hatchback and that rear lip. I'll give you a good look at the car before it's polished. There's the tires cleaned. I showed how to do that in another video. But this is just clean and dry. I was able to get a little bit more grunge out of the rims, but what's on there will require either some pretty nasty chemicals to do or a whole lot of manual labor, and I'm just not willing to do it because it would mean taking a full day to try to get all four wheels to where they should look. And I'm not taking a full day just on wheels because I hate those multi-spoke things. There's not enough room for my drill attachment buffer to get in there. And here on these things, you can definitely see they're gray. They're supposed to be black. These things are notorious, but when I'm done, they will be black. I'm going to end the video now because the wife reminded me of a responsibility that I have. I'm going to start buffing about 3 o'clock. See you then.